the equation of a straight line. Gradient and the equation of straight lines. So I don't want to do much. What I want to do is to remind you how to get the equation of a straight line. If I have a straight line A, B, and the coordinate of A is -2, 3, and the coordinate of B is 3, -2. In form 1 uliambiwa kwamba A is a coordinate. The first one is the X and the second one is the Y. So in form 4, as a form 4, you need to know that this is X and this is Y. This is X and this is Y. This is X and this is Y. So how do you get the gradient of this line? Gradient is equal change. When you go to the shop and you give somebody 50 shillings, you take something costing 30 shillings, he gives you change. What is a change? A change is a subtraction of the first and the second. So we have initial and the final. You give 50, you buy something costing 30, 50 minus 30, you are given 20 back as the change. So change, when we say gradient is equal to change in Y over change in X. We mean you subtract the coordinate of the Y and subtract the coordinate at the X-axis. So let's subtract. We can start with B. Once you start with B, you will begin with B in both cases, the numerator and the denominator. So I will start with B. So the first coordinate there, the Y coordinate there is -2, minus is the change. I'm subtracting now the coordinate at A, the Y, which is 3. Then divide by. I will start with 3 in the B, the X-axis at B, which is 3, minus. But whatever I'm subtracting is a -2. Then now you need to understand in form 1 also. You see now you're applying this in form 2, but it needs the knowledge of form 1 where you learned about integers, that a negative times a negative is a positive. So if you don't know that, then here you are going to mess. So here, -3 minus, it means 3. The negative times a negative is going to be a positive number. And then now integers again. But nowadays we have a calculator. You just press -2, -3, and it will give you -5. Divide by. But inside here, and the denominator, 3 minus, you should know in form 1 that it is a negative times a negative, which is positive. So it is going to give you +5. A negative divided by a positive, you should know it is a negative. Now, thank God we have calculators nowadays. You will just press -5 divided by 5, and the answer should be -1. So that's how we get the gradient of a straight line. Why is this important? In form 4 in differentiation, we are going to calculate the equation of a tangent. What is a tangent? A tangent is a straight line. We are going to calculate the equation of the normal to the tangent. The normal to the tangent is a straight line. They meet at 90 degrees, they form perpendicular. You see? Good. So let's continue now to the next part. Next bit of it, we want to talk about now I hope you have known how to get down now the equation of a straight line. Maybe I do one example again. If I have Q 3,4, P, which is -3, -2. So you say gradient is equal to change in Y over change in X. So the change in Y here, if you begin with round here, watch the answer na Q. So Q, Y there and 4. Minus. But whatever we are minus, the other Y here is -2. So itakuwa -2. Divide by. Tunaanza X-axis itakuwa 3 minus -3. So hiyo itakuwa ni minus minus itakuwa 6, minus minus itakuwa 9. So the gradient is 6 over 9. As a form 4, you need to simplify this. There's 3 here, 2, 3 here, 3. So the gradient is 2 over 3. 2 over 3. Oh, I'm writing up there. So the gradient should be 36 over 9. You simplify, which is 2 over 3. Now, equation of a straight line. Equation of a straight equation of a straight line. Why do you need to know how to calculate, how to determine an equation of a straight line? In differentiation, when we go further, we are going to calculate the equation of a tangent, equation of the normal, equation of the curve. So you need the gradient of the curve, the gradient of the normal, the gradient of the normal, the tangent. So that's important why you need to know these things from Form 2. For you to get to find how to determine an equation of a straight line, you need 3 things. Number 1, you need the gradient. Number 2, you need one point, a point. Number 3, you need the general point. The general point, xy, x, y. So these are the 3 things which you need to form or to calculate the equation of a straight line. Let's go and look at an example. Let's look at an example. Find the equation of a line AB where A is 4, 5 and B is 7, 9. So number 1, let's get the gradient because we need a gradient. Gradient is equal change in y over change in x. So let us change in y and x. We can start with the big one, number 9 minus 5 divided by the other one is 7 minus 4, which is equal to 4 over 3. So the gradient is 4 over 3. Now we have the gradient. We take one point from either 4, 5 or 7, 9, any of them, and the general point is there. So we don't need to bother about that. So here, now we take the point, end point, and then, but we know that the gradient is equal to change in y over change in x. Now our general point is xy. So take one of the, so you will say y, the general point, minus y, the point you have. Let us take this one, minus 9, over x, minus the point there, b, which is 7, will give us the gradient 4 over 3. So from there, you cross multiply, you are going to obtain this times this. So this one is 3 into y minus 9, which is equal to 4 into 7, x minus 7. And my wall has become small. So this is 3y minus 18. So we had actually 3 into y minus 9, which is equal to 4 into x minus 7. So open here, we will have 3y minus 18 is equal to 4x minus 28. Bring this on this side, so 3y is equal to 4x. Hii kikuja hapa itakuwa plus 18. Negative 28 plus 18 unafinya calc, negative 28 plus unapata negative 10. So that is the equation of that line. But ukiambiwa write your equation in the form of y is equal to mx plus c, then you need to simplify further and say here divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. So y is equal to 4 over 3x minus 10 over 3. So tumemaliza equation of that straight line. This is the knowledge we need to utilize in form 4 when we are doing equation of the curve, the tangent, and the normal. Right? Nice. Next one, we want to look at what? Perpendicular. Yeah, the gradient of the perpendicular. X-intercept, y-intercept, you should know that at the x-intercept, y is equal to 0, and at the y-intercept, x is equal to 0. That's the thing you need to know. The most important thing here, for the sake of the differentiation topic, it is the perpendicular. Now I'm going to the perpendicular because you should know how to get the equation of a straight line, the gradient of a straight line. Now I'm going to the perpendicular relationship. The gradient of perpendicular lines. So perpendicular lines are like this. So when we have a straight line and another line, this line and this one is perpendicular. So if I call this one line 1 and this is line 2, a line and this one, they are perpendicular. M1, okay, L1, line 2, they are perpendicular. If that is the case, then you need to know that the gradient L1, remember the general equation for the gradient is y is equal to mx plus c, where m is the gradient. M is the gradient. So the gradient of line 1, line 2 is m2. The gradient of line 1 is m1. So if they are perpendicular, like you can see, then m1 times m2, the answer should be negative 1. So if the gradient of m1, if the gradient m1 is equal to 2, then m2 should be negative 1 over 2, the reciprocal of the other. Well, if the first one is negative, the second one must be negative. If the first one is positive, the second one must be negative. If the first one is negative, the second one must be reciprocal and negative if the first one was positive. If m1 is equal to 10, then m2 is equal to negative 1 over 10, such that now 10 times negative 1 over 10, the answer is negative 1. That is the knowledge which you need in form 4. But this knowledge is in form, you get it. Very nice. Very good. Let me do an example. One example here. An example. Let me get one example from the book. Find the gradient, find the equation of a line L2 which is perpendicular to L1 whose equation is y is equal to 3y is equal to 9x minus 12 and passes through point 1, 3. A line L2 which is perpendicular to line 1 whose equation is this and passes through this. So we want to find the equation of line 2. First, let us get the gradient of line 1, M1. Once we have that, we will automatically have the gradient of line 2. So this gradient, you cannot tell the gradient in this line unless you write this equation in the form of y is equal to mx plus c. Otherwise, you cannot tell the gradient. So let us rearrange, let us do this. What we do, we divide by 3 every term. So we are going to have y is equal to 3x minus 4. So the gradient is 3. The gradient is 3. So M1 is equal to 3. Then M2 automatically is negative 1 over 3. You don't need to calculate. You just look once umeona ya kwanza, ya pili ni automatic. Are we together? I hope so. So now we have the gradient of M2. But this line L2 and the L1, they are passing through. So they are meeting at 1, 3. The point where they are sharing is 1 and 3. That's where they become perpendicular, right? So that is the point they are sharing. They share this point 1, 3. So we have now the point, we have the gradient, we have the general point, which is xy. What is difficult now to get the equation of that line? Nothing is difficult. So our gradient, our point is 1, 3, negative 3. So we go to the other blackboard or a whiteboard. We declare that. Once we clear, we have our choker. Let us take our white choker here. Now here we have a gradient, negative 1 over 3. We have point, which is 1, 3. And we have the general point, xy. We have the general point, xy. So you know, gradient is equal to change in y over change in x, which is equal to y minus 3 over x minus 1. 1 is this point. This is the point we are using. And this one will give us the gradient, which is negative 1 over 3. Now from here, you cross multiply. Cross multiply, we are going to have 3y minus 9 is equal to negative 1 into x minus 1. The reason why nimeamua kuandika hiyo hivyo, because you are going to open the negative and the negative is going to affect what is in the bracket. So 3y minus 9 is equal to minus x, and negative times negative 1 is going to be plus 1. Very important to note. So finally, we are going to have 3y is equal to, so hii 9 iende on the other side, tutakuwa na minus x. 9 ikivuka iko sign itakuwa plus. So 9 plus 1 itakuwa plus 10. So the equation is 3y is equal to minus x plus 10. If you were not told to write it in the form of y is equal to mx, so this one is okay. But if you were told the equation should be in the form of y is equal to mx plus c, then you need to divide by 3 throughout each term. So if you divide by that, you are going to have y is equal to minus 1 over 3x plus 10 over 3. if you are told. If you are not told, don't bother. You can leave it at that point.
A straight line, L1, has a gradient -1/2 and passes through the point this. Another line, L2, passes through the point this and this. Find the equation of L1 in the form of y is equal mx plus c, where m and c are constants. So we have been given the gradient of L1. We have the point. That's very simple. So gradient equal to change in y over change in x. So we take the general point, which is x and y. So the points we have is x, y, this point -1, 3, and our gradient is -1/2. So we change in y, we say y minus 3 divided by x minus -1. The answer is going to be -1/2. And negative times a negative is going to be positive. Positive. So we cross multiply this and that. We are going to have 2y minus 6 is equal to, this times is going to be -x. This times is going to be -1. Right? So right, 2y is equal to, ikienda hapa itakuwa -x. -6 ikifika hapa itakuwa +6. So tutakuwa na +5. Then we were told y is equal mx. So we want y to remain on the left side. So you divide by 2 every term. So our final equation will be y is equal to -1 over 2x plus 5 over 2. That is the final equation of line 1. Hence, find the y-intercept of this. So whenever you write y equal to mx plus c, c is the y-intercept, m is the gradient. So for us to get the y-intercept in this equation, we just look at this is the gradient, this is c. So y-intercept is equal to 5 over 2. Gradient of L2. So gradient 2, line 2 watold inapitia kwa 1, 3, -3, 4, 5. So kitu ya kwanza tunatafuta kuna point mbili, we must get the gradient and then find the equation. So gradient equal to change in y over change in x. So we are changing 5 minus 3. So 5 minus -3 divided by x, which is 4 minus 1. Minus itakuwa 8 over 3. So the gradient is 8 over 3 of L2. The equation of L2 in the form of this. So we want to find the gradient, the equation. So we take the general equation, the general point, that is xy. The gradient to nayo need 8 over 3. And then we take one of the point, either this or this, it depends umechukua gani. So let us take this one, the second. So we are going to say y minus 5 divided by x minus 4 equal to 8 over 3, which is the gradient. So we solve that, we cross multiply. We are going to have 3y minus 15 is equal to my 8x, itakuwa 8x minus 32 minus 32. So let us like terms together. Kwa sababu tumepewa ax, so tuna make sure x itaanza, y ifuate, halafu c ndio tuweke mwisho c, 0. No, you must adhere to the instructions given. If you write your own way, you get 0 at the final answer. So let us kwanza hii ikikuja pande hii itakuwa, so utakuwa na 3y, hii ikuje hapa itakuwa plus 32, so tutakuwa na plus 17 equal to 8x. So nataka tulete hii pande hii, so tutakuwa na negative 8x, ikikuja hapa itakuwa negative plus 3y plus 17 equal to 0. So we have written this equation the form we were told. X inaanza, Y inafuata, C inafuata, alafu 0 inamalizia. So ukiona uwezi wacha hii ikiwa negative, this is as good as you introduce a negative in this equation. We will have negative 8 times negative 1, we are going to have x 8x. Negative times positive, hii itakuwa minus 3y minus 17 is equal to 0. Hata hii na hii bado iko sawa. Bado iko sawa. The equation of a line passing through a point this and is perpendicular to, there is another line that is perpendicular to line 2 and it passes through this point. So if it is perpendicular to line 2, we know the relationship between perpendicular line. So let us get the gradient of that line. Let me even call it line 3. So L3 gradient yake tutaita M3. So M3 times M2, the answer should be negative 1. But that is M3 times 8 over 3, which is this L2, the answer should be negative 1. So you realize that the gradient M3 itakuwa negative 3 over 8, the reciprocal of that. So tushapata gradient ya M3. Now it is passing through, so we are going to say y minus 5 over x minus 0. The answer is negative 3 over 8. Cross multiply, we are going to have 8y minus 40 is equal to minus 3x. So tumeambiwa in form, tumeambiwa in form, so this one can be 8y is equal to minus 3x plus 40. Nimechukua hiyo on this side. Nimechukua hiyo on this side. And then now, what else? We can do what? You can leave this here because hatukupewa instruction, or you divide by 8 everywhere. So we are going to have y is equal to minus 3 over 8x plus 5. This one is also okay and this one is okay. Kwa nini? Kwa sababu hatukuambiwa instructions kama hii ama hii. Calculate the acute angle that the L2 makes with the x-axis, the acute angle. Anytime you are asked to calculate the acute angle of a line, get the gradient of that line. Ukiambiwa calculate the acute angle of a line, get the gradient of that line. So once you get the gradient of that line, you should know that tan theta is equal to that gradient of that line, is equal to the gradient. Sawa sawa. Hiyo ndio formula. Tan theta is equal to the gradient of that line, whichever line you are given. So get the gradient of line 2. The gradient of line 2 is 8 over 3. Is 8 over 3. So we are saying tan theta is equal to 8 over 3. So to get theta, we are going to find the tan inverse of 8 over 3. Tan inverse of 8 over 3. And then you realize that your answer, theta is equal to 69.44 degrees.